many of these. What the heck? This is all so messed up. I didn't do this. Who did this? Oh. Let's take these. Anything. Anything. Come on. They shouldn't be together like this. What the hell? Let me break. Okay. No, not this one. It has to be this one. And this. Yeah, settings. Let's see. Print this stupid thing out. Darn it. And I didn't even bring the sheet. Darn it. Ah. Two, 6, 8, 2, 6, 7, 5, 3, 4, 7, 5, 3, 4, 6, 5, 6. Join. 9, 1, 3, 3.
I think we've got online participants here as well. So welcome back, everyone online. Irina, Debbie, hi Debbie. Mary, it looks like there's 3 Marys. The same Mary Black. Carlin, Jeanette, hi. So welcome back. So what we're going to start this morning with is meditation. You know, when we start up, as we all know, we want to sort of be able to get up in the morning and very quickly go into meditation. That's the best time to meditate, when the mind's a bit more subtle. You know, when we're kind of coming up into out of the dream state or the sleep state, wherever we've been. That's a more subtle state of mind. So we want to move into, when we meditate, we want to still try and capture that more subtle state when we're not in the level of more gross sensual consciousness, when we're not in the like real busyness of the day. So again, most of us are kind of still maybe slightly in that state. I don't know, it depends what time we woke up at. So let's just, what we're going to do now is I'm going to guide just a beginning motivation for meditation, and then we'll go into a couple of the meditations that we did last week. I want to just combine them together, just getting familiar again with the posture, the points of the posture, and the scanning of the body. So we'll do about 15 minutes. Oh no, sorry, I don't want to actually. This is just my own notes. Is that coming up on the screen?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Anything that you got.
Oh, N and the icon.
Okay.
That's true. I mean, it's not a big. Anyway, that's fine. I have like a little guide, but I can put that up. But I'm going to guide you through this, so you don't need to look at this. We're going to go into meditation more. So yeah, we're going to do, because last week a few of us mentioned to just sit for like half an hour is quite long. We get sore. I don't know, do we get sore, or is it half an hour's okay? We're okay with half an hour? Okay, that's good. So I don't stop. I think after we've meditated, we'll just do a minute of moving the body, you know. So we're going to do about half an hour of meditation, just a combination of the 3 types of meditation that we did last week, just kind of getting a wee bit more clear and firm on those. Right, so let's just find our place of meditation. Just generally getting our body into the place of meditation. And we're going to just touch with our mind the points on the body. First of all, sorry, we're going to scan the body and then touch the points of the body, the main points that we need to kind of keep our body in for meditation. And then we'll do a little bit of motivation and then some of this sort of concentration style meditation. So first of all, scanning to get ourselves grounded in the body. So if we've had a busy week or we wake up and the mind's quite agitated, a little bit chaotic, then it's very good to do this kind of scanning of the body. So let's just connect with our breath first. A couple of deep breaths into the bottom of the stomach, pit of the stomach. Inhale and then exhale a bit more strongly. Then we're going to go into connecting with the with the body, doing the scanning of the body exercise, starting at the crown of the head. And as we breathe, just breathing deeply into the parts of the body as we scan or shower down the body with breath and awareness. So, just feeling that lightness, first of all, of the energy at the crown. And then more just breathe as we breathe. We probably find the breath goes a little bit deeper as we relax into the body, moving down the body with stream of awareness through the brow, around the eyebrows, breathing in and releasing and relaxing tension that we find around the eyes or the brow area. And allowing the breath and awareness to go a little bit deeper beyond the level of the skin into the kind of muscle, tissue, fascia, blood. Just releasing and relaxing as we can on a deeper level into the body. Gently moving down as we release and relax down the face, into the jaw, allowing space, creating space there with breath and awareness. Moving down the neck, again along the levels of the skin and deeper into the more inside the body, inside the neck. Release, deep release, softening, relaxing with breath and awareness. Moving down the shoulders. Setting the shoulders a little bit back again with breath and awareness, creating space with breath and awareness around the shoulders. And a couple of more breaths going more deeply into the shoulders, releasing and relaxing, being like our own acupuncturist. Or our own masseur. Then just streaming down the body even further, especially into the level of the area of the stomach area. Breathing more and more deeply into the stomach area to release and relax and soften. And then moving down into the hips, just being aware of where we hold tension. Noting that if we hold tension in any parts of the body, just taking a mental note as we move down the body into the hips. continuing all the way down through the legs, right down to the toes. So we cover our whole body with a sort of kindness, a healing energy, breath and awareness. Well, meditation is very much about the spiritual path. It's very much about using the teachings, the guidance we receive to become like our own therapist. I think it was Lama Yeshe that coined that term. He was the founder of the organization I'm part of. And where that starts is just these exercises of checking where we hold tension in the body. And this therapeutic exercise is just scanning the body helps to release and relax and find a kindness, a gentleness, a softness with our body in meditation. So combined with scanning the body, we can then go back and check the posture, the crown. Go up to the crown again. So the crown or the head is tilted towards the sky like we have a piece of string attached to their crown, holding it up like a puppet. And the chin is slightly tucked under. So this allows the head not to fall back, to keep the mind alert. The eyes are soft and either gently closed or slightly open, looking towards the tip of the nose and downward. The tongue is on the palate and just resting behind the teeth. And the jaw, mouth is closed, gently closed. Then we check all the way down the back of the body, the spine, from the crown all the way down to the sit bones. With the back of the neck soft and open, do we have a kind of pillar of straight energy there? It's a key point of the meditation, is finding that pillar of energy that supports us for the sit bones all the way up to the crown. Keeping that area straight. Then the arms are, shoulders are back. Arms are a little bit space between the sides of the body and the arms. So the air can move through, keeps the meditation, our mind lighter. And the hands ideally are rested on the lap with the right hand holding the left hand cupped and then the two thumbs pointing. So there's an imagery of flame inside the hands. This kind of mudra is called. It helps to there's a sort of, like a flame, it sort of ignites some sort of energy in our subtle body. We need a lot of energy for meditation. Then the legs are in, cross-legged, lotus, or whatever your lotus position is. To hold, they need to be firm to hold the top of the body upright. So in that space, take a moment to connect with your intention, your motivation. What kind of thoughts activated you, inspired you to come today? Just clarifying that in your mind. Perhaps again, it's more on the level of what you need to receive from this class. So again, as part of your motivation before we go into the concentration meditation, just clarifying again what we talked about last week. So Tibetan word for Buddhist is Nangpa, which basically means inner being. So when we sit down and make this decision to meditate, in that moment, we're becoming an inner being, or what I like to call an inner activist. We are calling upon ourselves for inner change, taking personal responsibility for our state of mind, for our stuff in a way. So just like any activists that are who's fighting or standing up for change in the face of sort of archaic, outmoded, harmful aspects of society, what we do in spiritual practice, in meditation, in our sitting practice, is creating an inner change, standing up against harmful aspects of ourselves, our habits, our wounds, that we're kind of tired of, fed up with, that we recognise there's a need to shift, change and transform. So on that level, we're making this inner stance, becoming active or brave enough to work on our stuff. So again, meditation is this two-step process. Gradually recognising kind of our wounds, our painful places, the aspects of ourselves we want to change and transform. Making a conscious effort to eliminate them through activating positive states of mind. So we want our meditation to reduce negative states of mind while simultaneously activating the opposite, positive states of mind that eventually overwhelm the wounds, the pain, the more challenging states of consciousness. So again, just taking a moment to reflect on what it is you feel you need to work on right now. What kind of blocks your kind of potential for happiness in your life? And what kind of states would you like to bring into your life? Positive states of mind. Maybe you have them already, but you want to develop them more. Just clarify that for a moment. So in the realms of meditations, different types of meditations, there's so many different meditations, or what we call medications, really, to help develop the mind and reducing the negative habits, and increasing levels of positivity and happiness. So again, this first one, the one that we tend to connect with first, is this breathing meditation, activating the quality of peace in our mind, more calmness, more peace, giving us a holiday from the chaos of our thoughts. That's usually the first place, the first meditation we want to step into when we begin practice. So let's more slowly start to bring the mind, our awareness, into more specifically the breath again, at the level of the nostrils or at the area of the abdomen. So choose one of those points where we're aware of the breath going in and out, either the rising and falling. We're going to just focus there at the abdomen, or the sensation at the tip of the nostrils of the breath going in and out. And making a determination. For the next 5 minutes, I'm going to gently but firmly anchor my awareness on one of those places. Simply be with the breath there. As soon as I catch myself in thinking, listening, feeling in any area of the body, or could get trapped through the sense doors, simply come back to the breath at the tip of the nostrils or the level of abdomen. So let's do for 5 minutes. So when you're ready, just slowly come out of the meditation, just noting where you are as you come out of the meditation. Were we with the breath or were we somewhere else? Okay. So just checking in. I did check in with some of us here because we arrived early, you know, what we did last week. So how many of us, it's as well online, you know, some of us joined a little bit later online. How many of us were able to, you know, do some of the meditation, maybe putting up hands, look over the handouts, do some of the meditation? Great. I know most of you did here. Some of you online, I see a lot of hands there. For those of you who've got your, great. So any questions with some of the handouts, any of the meditation that you did? What came up? Anything coming up in your practice that you want to ask about, you're not sure of so far? Take a moment. Or just anything you want to share.
Other people, but it's so much easier for me when you're guiding a
Mhm.
meditation. When I'm at home, I'm not quite as.
Really? So is it Phyllis you said? Jenny? So Phyllis was saying, you hear what Phyllis is saying there? Did you hear? Yeah? No, Debbie didn't hear. So Phyllis here is saying that she finds that she's just sharing that it's a lot easier. And this is what I was mentioning to a few of the students here before class, that it's a lot easier to do guided meditation, you know, when you're new. And I thought that when I was, because this course is based on like a course that our organisation, so I'm part of an organisation called FPMT, it's a bit of a mouthful. Well, that's not, but Foundation for the Preservation of the Mahayana Tradition. You know, so we're collaborating together with Wisdom Centre to do this course. But this course came from, it's part of one of the courses we run in our organisation. It's a beginner meditation course, as I mentioned last week. But of course, it was put together 20 years ago. So we didn't have like all the, you know, the devices we have now, you know. So I thought, you know, it would be better if we record these meditations, you know, rather than sending the handouts. So anyway, I think what we're going to do is what Tony did nicely last week is sent you a recording of the meditation we did. So did some of you listen to the recording that she sent? I'm seeing some nods. What about online? Debbie, you listen to the recording? Anyone else there? You want to put anyone else listen to the recording? There's Mary there. So I think we'll probably do the same this week, Tony. Yeah, send out the recording. And if it's helpful, maybe I could get some hands, because if it's helpful, I could record 2 or 3 of those meditations rather than just maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes that are in the handouts, but recorded. Would that be, yeah, okay. Because I'm like putting the material and I'm like, I think the recordings are going to be much better for people, you know. I mean, I know they would be for me, you know. I used to use a record, you know, I was 25 years, yes? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, but I can.
You mentioned handouts. I didn't get any handouts.
So please see Bonnie after and we will make sure you get your email address. Maybe there was something with your email address, yeah, to make sure you get them.
Also, if you have registered then, and given us your email, it might not have, it might not have been read correctly, or maybe it's in.
So one lady here didn't get the handout. So Tony's just saying that, you know, if anyone online didn't get them, please email Tony and let her know. Well, the Wisdom Centre and let her know. Because ideally all of you should have done online because we have the correct email for you. So I'm imagining it wasn't a problem for you joining online. So anyway, yeah, so because I know myself as a beginner, could somebody give me a bit of hot water, please? My mouth's a bit dry. Sorry, I've noticed I'm going clearing my throat. Probably too much tea. So I used to listen with cassettes, you know, for us guys. We used to have tape cassettes. So I would often listen to records, to have my tape recorder and listen, you know, for beginners. So we really need that support. I mean, ideally, you do, all of us want to move into having our own meditation practice. Some of us do. But so what I'll do this week is record a couple of meditations to send to you. So you might not get them till around Tuesday or something, but I'll do a couple of recordings. As well as what you have from the class we're doing now. So you'll have a little bit more recorded materials that you can just jump into at any time. I mean, also you can listen maybe when you're driving. I mean, maybe meditate. Thank you. Maybe breathing, the concentration meditation might not be great for driving, but you know, the reflective meditation, I'm sure some of us listen to inspirational talks when we're driving or around the house anyway, you know, so. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Stan?
Just today, heard you say in the hand position, I think I heard you say the right hand was on the bottom. I always assumed it was the left hand.
Oh, sorry, it is the left-handed. I think I'm a little bit funny with the left and the right. It takes me a moment. Maybe you could call it dyslexic or something, but every time it's left and right, I have to think, and I think I just did it the wrong way, sorry. So just to clarify, you know, and this is for me where things get more juicy, is mudras and mantra, and I feel like they're very inspiring for meditation, but we are going to move through the course materials in the right way. So I want to just clarify this posture, you know, it's very important actually, just to see, so you can see it. How can we do it so they can see it a wee bit more? You know, so you you have the left hand under, you know, so in many ways, what does the left side? Left side symbolizes, you know, was, you know, in more what like we call the tantric or subtle body teachings, you know. So the left side of it is generally related to the wisdom quality of the mind. We want to activate our wisdom, you know, all the time. But we always want to activate positive states of mind, you know, when we're in meditation. If we sit down and we activate positive states of mind, then hopefully that carries us at least part of the way through the day, you know. So similarly, when we sit in the meditation posture, it's set in a way, it's actually called Verachana. And I'm going to, since we're talking about this, I'm going to share my PowerPoints now that I've set up a few for today. Let me just move this slideshow. Right. What's happening there? You see that? Okay, great. So this is these are the points of the posture that, of course, you got in the handout. So the particular one here we're talking about is this, you know, when you're talking about the arms, you know, and the mudra of meditation. So when we sit down, you can, you know, if we think about it, the wisdom, the tooth that's like the wings of the bird, you know, that we like for a bird to fly, it needs two wings, yeah. So for us to kind of progress in our meditation, we always want to be activating wisdom, which on a more subtle level of consciousness is related to the left side of our body. And then our compassionate, our love, kindness, compassion, or what we call the method side of the path. And on a more subtle level, it's related to the right side of the body. You know, so you know, like a bird, we need to activate what we want to activate, and all our meditations are geared towards activating these two qualities. Some meditations we're just activating one, you know, mostly when we're here, but we're activating one. But really, you know, in many ways, they both activate each other, you know. The more we have a good heart, the more we know how to act, you know, and that's wisdom, you know. So people who naturally have a good heart know not to harm others. You know, they just know that. They know that. Why do they know it? Because they practiced in their past lives. That's what the Buddhists would say, you know. We have that habit of non-harming, habit of being kind, more gentle, more patient. We've cultivated that in you know, in our consciousness in previous lives, you know. That's continued into this life's experience, this karmic experience right now. So even when we sit in the meditation posture, we want to, you know, it's that alone is called the 7-point Verachana posture. And it was sort of designed or come up with through Marpa. You know, Marpa was this great holy being who, I don't know, like what century was Marpa? Maybe like 12th, 13th century, something like that. Do you remember? I can't remember. Something around there. Anyway, he was a great yogi practitioner. So this posture is called like the 7-point posture. Now, I've called it our castle. So I managed to move things around. I don't know if people like doing word puzzles and when we're older, we do all that stuff, yeah, to activate our memory, yeah. So I moved it around a little bit and I came up with, oh, look, you can kind of make it into like castle, you know. So the beginning of all the points, you see C for the crown, A for arms, S for the spine, you know, because sometimes it's hard to remember, you know. So if we want to remember this, and, you know, even in Scotland, me being Scottish, in Scotland, we built castles, yeah, to defend ourselves. As safe places, yeah. So, you know, in other you know, when you go to Tibet and Nepal, you go and see the stupas and these great holy sites. When you go to Scotland, you go and see castles, you know. So in some level, there's some goodness that comes out of that. They were for defense, you know, but they were safe places. Places where you thought, well, they're up on hills, they're covered with stone, you know, there's only little windows, you're not going to get harmed for there. So in many ways, this meditation posture is a little bit like our castle, you know, because what we're trying to do in meditation is find a safe place to be with yourself, right? We have to become our own therapists in meditation, but we need to know how to do that. So sometimes that's why in the beginning, it's kind of like when you go to therapy, you need somebody to guide you through your stuff, yeah? So what? We need guided meditation. It's the same thing, you know? We need a little bit guide, like how do we navigate all these different parts of your mind? It's a whole world in there. You know, yesterday we had this gentleman came to the centre and he came to do some retreat and he hadn't really meditated before and he booked a cabin. I'm like, okay, you know, for his own practice. So he was quite honest about it. I thought it was really sweet because we have in our centre, we have these private retreat cabins that you can book and do your personal retreat. We also offer group retreats and personal retreat. So ideally, of course, before you do personal retreat, you've done some group retreats, you've done some. So of course he comes, he said, well, I've got 2 days, I've never meditated before. What do I do? You know, and I'm like, well, you know. He said, and you know, he's very, and I'm like, well, I gave him some books. And I says, actually, there's a class going on downtown. That would have been really good for you to join that. But he's in his personal retreat and there's no Wi-Fi up there. So anyway, he might join in next week. But, you know, he was very honest. He said, you know, well, I've been so busy taking care of my life and my family and my thing. And now it's time to take care of me, you know. And I thought, that's true. That's where we often get to, you know. We're often saying at our centres, oh, we need more young people here. I says, you know, but when you're younger, you're building your life, you know. So it's almost like when we get to, I mean, of course, I met the Dharma when I was still young, you know. So, and I decided to sort of focus on this sort of inner castle early on in my life, you know. But what we need to do, what we recognise at any point in our life is that we need to navigate, learn how to navigate, become in a way our own therapist with our mind, you know. We need to know how to do that. So the posture is very important because it helps to kind of create this, as I say, like a castle, sort of defending yourself from all the. We need a little bit, we need to use the body so that it's not agitating the mind more, creating more stuff to come up. You know, we need to have the right environment, this kind of body environment for our meditation. So the main part of this, what's the most important part of the posture? Out of all these points for meditation, what's the key one that we want to get when we start meditation? Even if we can't get ourselves into all these places, there's a key thing. So one lady said, what's your name again, sorry? Sini. No, for the posture, for the body. See these 7 points? What's the most important one? Now, it's not the first one.
I think 3.
Number 3, yes. So Dave's right, you know. So, you know, it doesn't mean that we have the spine kind of really tense, but we need to find a way. And that's why, to be honest with you, you know, some movement, yoga, any kind of movement exercise is good because we need to find strength as well as a softness and a flexibility in the spine, you know, when we're meditating. So I don't think we'll have time this week, but I'm also going to introduce something called the 9-round breathing exercise that helps to clear the winds as well. But this is kind of, it's not necessarily part of the posture, but that also helps to kind of soften parts of the body. But yeah, so the most important one that you always want to check in when you're meditating is like keeping the back body really all the way through up to the crown, even though the spine doesn't go all the way. Well, where does the spine go to? It goes quite far up, yeah? To the back of the neck, yeah? So, but we just want to kind of bring it all the way up. Yeah, because I think we'll not get to it this week, but next week I've got a little diagram of the subtle body. So we'll see that the subtle body, the key sort of, we have like channels, winds, drops in our subtle body, you know, and that's actually really what we're meditating with, you know. So, but we need this kind of, the grosser body needs to be settled, so the upper, it's supporting the subtle body to work, you know, for us in meditation, the mind and the winds. You know, so we have different levels of consciousness and wind energy, which we also work with in yoga, especially the wind energy in yoga. So we need to kind of make sure these are a little bit more settled, as you were saying, you know, we need to be settled so the mind we can get the mind to work a little bit better in meditation. Dave, did you have a question?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, if you, for injury or, you know, obviously what you said about doing yoga and doing things to get your body to a place where your spine can be straighter.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with that and you can feel it, what tool would you suggest to, I mean, other than making your body more flexible over time and all that kind of thing, but in the immediate need.
Well, the main thing is that you still have to find where you're comfortable, so you're not pushing yourself into being really straight. I think the thing is as well, it's not so much the physical spine that needs to be straight. We're saying that, but it's the subtle. There's a channel. We have a central channel in the body, and that needs to be relatively straight. So how do we get to that? It's through just finding the straightness through the middle of the body. It's like a pillar of having a pillar of light going through not so much the center of your body, but just slightly back, in front of your spine, but between the center of your body and your spine. It's like feeling a beam of energy, white energy going up there. You know, is that straight? Am I centered? And that usually means like you just not, it's like not slouching at the shoulders, you know, even, you know, so it's just finding that inner strength through the center of the body, like a pillar, more like a pillar of energy for the sit bones all the way to the crown. So it doesn't mean like you have to be like this, you know, because that's not comfortable either, you know. So, and again, this is why we do you know, for beginners, we do the scanning of the body, you know, just going through and checking the point, scanning and checking at the same time. The body, you know, needs to be relaxed to meditate. As you're saying, Cindy, we need to be a bit relaxed, which is difficult when we've got a full-time job, you know. That's why many of us come to it when we're a bit more going into retirement, you know. But still, we need to, you know, if we're young, for those of us who are younger, if we have this habit of meditating, we'll carry that through our career, you know. So that's why it's great when you're young if you meet meditation, because once you get the strength and the power, vigor for your meditation, it's something you'll always keep. Like just like people who jog all the time or do yoga or have got something, you know, they can't go without it, like brushing your teeth or taking a shower. It becomes part of you, you know. So it's good either way, you know. But we still need to get a little bit movement, feel something we need to have a bit of relaxation. So the body needs to be alert but relaxed. There's something in there, that balance. Yes?
I've got a question. I was always familiar with the meditation starting from the root chakra or you know. I don't
Yes.
know, but you started with the head first.
You know, you can start for the scanning of the body, you can actually start either way. You can, and you know, as you see in the handout, I think the handout maybe starts from the bottom and then goes down and goes up, you know. I think it's what I would say is, I find it more helpful to go, I don't think there's too much here right or wrong. It's really the purpose of the scanning of the body, you know, their purpose really is just to get yourself, you know, grounded in your body. Now, if you find it easier to go up and down, do that. If you find it better to go down and up, I don't think it doesn't matter too much, you know. It's really just feeling like you're in your body. That helps to settle the mind before meditation and start to move the mind away from thoughts and sense engagement. Just connecting with the feelings and sensations in the body, not what's going out through the sense doors. We're trying to close the door of the senses temporarily, you know, and just go into the body, your sensations with the body, you know, and then we go more specifically into the breath because the mind's settled a little bit. So you can go either way. And just on that note, you know, in terms of what object do we use? Is there anything? I see there's some things on the chat. Is there any questions or just some things for the recording? Yeah.
And that was saying straight spine, but I think you addressed that.
Okay. So what was I going to say? Yeah, in terms of, so most of us probably choose for the object at the tip of the nostrils, yeah? I'm imagining. Of course, there's many objects in Tibetan Buddhism that you, well, another popular one is using an image of the Buddha. But, you know, for beginners, that's not really realistic. And we're not really moving into deep states. So, like, there's a whole level of moving into this meditation where you develop it for long periods of time. What I'm trying to do here is just set us up to really calm the mind so we can then do a little bit other types of meditation. But if you find that you're a type of person who's, you know, especially when you start doing scanning of the body, you start to find that this is moving into becoming your own therapist first at the level of the body. Where do we hold our tension? Now, again, if you do something like yoga or qigong or something, you start to realize where your tight parts are, you know, where you hold tension, you know. So if we tend to be someone who holds tension a lot, like maybe around the brow and the eyes, like we're really you know, thinking a lot, thought crunchers, you know, all the day, you know, thinking and get a lot of tense anxiety around the head, or you may find it easier to drop down into watching the breath at the level of the abdomen, just being aware of the rising and falling of the abdomen to settle the mind, using being there instead at the level of the nostril, because it's a bit heavier, a bit more grounded, as you were saying. It grounds you. If you tend to feel ungrounded a lot in mental activity, then do the exercise of watching the breath at the level of the abdomen. If you feel like things are very heavy all the time for you, your mind's more heavy, your energy's a bit more in the lower body, you may find it helpful to be yet then use the object, because it's lighter. The sensation at the tip of the nostrils is a lighter energy, so it sort of lightens up your mind a little bit. Does that make sense? So for me personally, being at the abdomen's better, you know, because some of us have more lighter energy, some of us more heavier energy. But either one, too much either one creates fatigue and tiredness, you know. So we just want to see, well, where are we at? And we don't have to make a decision too soon. But once you see that, okay, actually settling my mind at the level of the abdomen does make me feel more, I need to feel more grounded. Or settling my mind at the level of the nostrils makes me feel a bit lighter because life feels heavy. Maybe I get more depressed or down, dark mind. Then just stay with that one, you know. When you go into, you know, if you decide to develop this much more further and go into like deeper levels of, you know, developing calm abiding, then at that point you may decide to, you know, use even another object. But the thing is, once you decide at that point, then you keep on that object. You don't flit around, you know, so. But right at the beginner level, you want to just try out what object is helping my mind better, which placement. Yes, Irina, sorry.
Yes, thank you. So sort of in that vein, what are your thoughts for beginners doing several short meditations throughout the day versus one longer one that may be more difficult to sit through?
Well, that's a great question, Irina, because perfect question. What would be the answer to that is, of course, much shorter, you know. I mean, even like, you know, we're trying to develop our muscle in meditation here, you know, and You know, if we go to the gym the first time and do 2 hours workout, it's going to be like complete killer the next day. You're not going to go back, you know, because you've never been for ages. So the mind is much more delicate actually than the body, you know. It can you can get a lot of feedback for the mind if you do something like that, you know. You won't want to sit, you know. So even just like 20 minutes if it's too much with the breathing exercise, because as I say, this type of meditation is actually more difficult than some of the other types, because you need to being on one place when our mind's been so used to being everywhere. We're familiar with being everywhere. We're unfamiliar with just, although we do say of course we do some concentration when we're working and, you know, we have to concentrate on a job, but still there's all this thoughts and feelings, there's all this mental activity going on around that. So really to just be in one place is a new place for us, you know. It's a new experience. So as you say, Arena, to develop it nicely and well, short meditations more regularly. So yeah, if you can do like 3 times a day, you know, of course, in the morning, starting off with an intention and motivation, something inspirational, and maybe do 5 minutes sitting with the breath, you know, sitting with that. And then if you've got another 5 minutes or 10 minutes at lunch, and then if you can do a little bit in the evening, that's wonderful. You know, that's the best way to go. You know, with anything really, you know, short spurts regularly. I mean, even at the level, you know, for myself, when we go into retreats, you know, you do 4 sessions a day. You know, when you go into a retreat environment, you're doing like set sessions every day. For myself as a practitioner, there's certain practices, I've got commitments, I have to do them it's called 6 times a day, 6 sessions a day, short but regular. Much better for the mind, you know, to train in short bursts. Does that answer your question, Arena?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions for those of us online? Any hands? No, we're good. Okay, so let's just go through. Let's just take a few minutes. Do we need a few minutes break? Yeah. Okay, let's take a 5-minute break, and then we've got about half an hour for the rest of the class. Because of that, yeah, certainly when you're doing concentration meditation, certainly, yeah, sometimes you think, yeah, I'm doing really great here. It's a bit like that. Yeah, I'm good at this now. And then the next day it's like, oh, it's a complete disaster. So we have moments where the meditation goes really well. But again, the main thing, and that's okay, you can rejoice. But the main thing is getting deeper and more familiarity. Just keep going. Just keep going. Because we will have different experiences coming up, you know, all the time. Even people feel things in their head or they're this or that. That's okay. Just label it and go back to, okay, that was good. I feel really happy. Maybe it sounds like there's a wee moment of joy, which is great. So I don't want to say like, oh, just let go of that. That's not any use, you know, because it sounds like quite joyful. Yeah. So that's good. Then my mind's experiencing joy. That's great. And then rejoice and then just go back to whatever your meditation was, you know. I think that that's kind of what Tony was saying as well, you know, really.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah. Sini, did you want to share something or mention
So,
something?
There is a new book from Sanjay Gupta about pain, and what he says is whenever we have a positive experience, if we savor that, that will help us to later want to meditate more.
That's very true. You make up it. That's a very good point, Sini, as well. So maybe we can start again now as we're after the 5 minutes. We'll all settle down and everybody's back. Sini was just saying that we're talking about experiences kind of that come up in meditation, which is very important. So Phyllis was saying that she was doing a meditation and then all of a sudden she felt like really joyful because she had a nice experience in her meditation. So is that a distraction? It's not really, you know, because actually when you come, so for example, if you come off the meditation cushion and you think, oh, that went, you know, you can pat yourself in the back and say, that went quite well. Rejoice. I think the main thing is just to rejoice that you're doing practice. You know, rejoice that you are putting effort in to start to really work with your stuff, you know, work with your mind, reduce negative states of mind. As it says here, You know, the next slide I was going to move into, you know, the mind has infinite potential. So when we sit down to meditate, we activate sometimes different types of mindsets, you know, especially when we're doing this single pointed meditation. Different stuff comes up, sometimes difficult stuff. Oh, sorry. Stop share. I'm not sharing you, that's right. Let me just, that's not on the screen there. Okay. Excuse me. I thought I had shared this. Oh, it was up on my screen as a share, but I'll just reshare this slide. Right, there we go. Got it now. So when we meditate, yeah, different things, especially when we're new to meditation so much, the mind's never done that before. So it's like all these different experiences can happen, you know. And sometimes that can be distracting, as Phyllis said, but I think if you get moments of joy, that's good to sit with that. You know, sometimes it's a real nice joy and just say, oh, I'm going to sit with this joy. That's good, you know, because then when what we want to do is we want to not feel like meditation's a burden, but ideally start to feel like meditation's something joyful we want to move into, you know, and that does happen over time, you know, but like any discipline, it takes a wee bit of time to feel the joy in it. So yeah, when we have joyful moments, I think just when you finish the session, just think, well, I experienced a lot of joy, how wonderful it is. As Cindy was saying, rejoice. So when we get off this meditation cushion, Lama Zopa Rinpoche was very much into us trying to develop this potential. One potential the mind has is great joy. You know, and Phyllis was expressing she had a moment of joy, you know, but we can have many moments of joy, you know. So when we feel that, we should just take a moment to feel it. That's really joyful, you know. And then we can go back to our meditation or finish the meditation and just hold that experience of joy. All the time what we're doing is trying to hold the experience of our meditation a little bit, not too tightly, not too loosely, but as we go through the day, we want it to inform and affect and colour our day in a positive way, yeah, our meditation. So but other days we'll get on the cushion, we'll do the practice, nothing happens. It's just like dry, you know, dead, nothing's going on. But if we remember or it's like our mind was just like this crazy elephant, you know, everyone's just like all over the room and, you know, but the thing is, we're still doing the practice, we're still doing the discipline, we're still putting our body and mind there. So just rejoice. If we create the habit every time we meditate to just rejoice, how wonderful it is I sat on the cushion, even if we don't feel it, but just how wonderful it is I did that. And it's building a healthy confidence. It's building this safe place of our inner kind of clinic, you know, our inner castle, you know, becoming our own therapist. Because as Westerners, we tend to feel negative about ourselves a lot of the time. Yeah. We're familiar with feeling negative about ourselves and putting ourselves down. So this is a very important habit. When we do these things called pujas in the Tibetan tradition. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche used to, and it's like we make offerings to Buddha, Medicine Buddha for healing, Tara for success. It's a little bit foreign for Westerners, but it's very familiar. Cindy, where are you from again?
India.
So it's very familiar for Cindy. Puja, they do puja for everything, you know. So we do, but yeah, so we do them as well for Success Air Centre, for people who've passed away, for healing, for many things, success in our projects and for our spiritual development. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche would always have Westerners, Tibetan, generally the Indians, they just run through the puja because they have some sort of faith and devotion that's going to work anyway. For Westerners, we need to take our time and meditate a little bit through it. We want to meditate, you know, we can't just run through things. So usually Rinpoche has us stop at the places of rejoicing in those pujas. Rejoicing in, I mean, this is a huge other topic that I wasn't going to get into today, but really it's so important, like this power of just recognizing that we're doing really good, you know, in our practice, even though the practice went because the other thing is, as Phyllis was saying, oh, I had this moment of joy and it was so wonderful and that's great. But you might not have that for a while again. You know, so then we think, oh, that meditation was great. I can't wait to meditate tomorrow. And tomorrow's just like flat, you know, nothing's happening. But what I found over the years is just sitting. We sit and the mind moves slowly, slowly develops. And that's what we need to rejoice. That's where we need to develop this joy in our practice so that we just always want to sit. We just do it either way. Because I think it's the joy, that enthusiasm, or what it's called in this tradition, joyous effort. You know, that's actually what they call it. It's one of the kind of perfections of becoming a bodhisattva, you know, becoming a saint. You need to have this limb, this perfection. You need to be developing one's muscle of joyous effort. So how we do it in this, how we start as Westerners is trying to like move away from feeling heavy on ourselves and cultivate this muscle or this limb of how wonderful it is I'm meditating this morning. If I say to you,
And that can be part of your motivation.
yeah, that's actually first thing when you get in the cushion. And this is part of what we call the graduated path to enlightenment, recognizing your human potential, what Lama's saying here. If you can discover even in a small way that true satisfaction comes through your mind, I feel like for Westerners, this is the first step. How do we feel happy about ourselves? How do we do that, you know? We can't bring happiness to others if there's like all these blocks in ourselves, you know? So, and this was one of my big first spiritual work. Can we rejoice in ourselves? If I say, if you think, just sit for a moment, how wonderful it is that I'm coming here to this class. How does that feel? Okay. But sometimes there's a bit of a block, you know, like, I don't know if I should rejoice in myself, you know. Isn't being a bodhisattva all about others? Well, yes, it is. But first, we need our own therapy. You know, we need to become our own therapist. We don't know how to be happy completely. We thought we did, because Western society says you need a job, you need a this, you need a that, you need a relationship, you need a that. So we have some wrong concepts going on that have blocked our happiness. Now, we're not bad because of it. It's just that we weren't taught some of the causes of happiness for a young age, you know, like how to rejoice in your goodness. When I'm patient, oh, wow, wonderful, I was patient right there. We don't usually do that. We just go, I'm a really angry person. I'm a really impatient person. We identify with the negative sides of ourselves. Is this, yeah, okay. And how are we feeling about this? Is this making sense to you? I'm getting some nods here. I mean, I'm glad if it's not resonating with you. It's like, no, I rejoice in all my good stuff all the time, you know, but great, you know, you can come and teach the class, you know. But, you know, most of us, we don't. And I didn't either when I met the Dharma. You know, I'm a Scorpio. Scorpios are great beating themselves up, you know. If you know astrology, Scorpios are one of the best at that job, you know. So I had to figure out, how do we learn to rejoice in our virtue, not rejoice in our anger. We don't rejoice in that. We don't rejoice in our impatience, but we also don't beat ourselves up about it. We recognize it and say, okay, that needs to change. You know, so it's a very much in the beginning meditation about becoming friends with yourself. We've got loads of friends out there, but we haven't quite, or some of us maybe have, some of us, I don't know. But how do we become a healthy friend to ourselves? You know, and we think it's putting your feet up and doing this and getting a job and doing, that's okay. It doesn't mean that we all don't want comforts, you know, financial security, comfort. You know, I'm not saying we don't have that, but we also have this whole environment of your mind and emotions that fortunately there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot available to us, but that's what we're really doing, you know, in these classes, in meditation, is slowly becoming friends with ourselves. you know, understanding how our mind works. That's becoming friends with yourself. How our mind and emotional world works, and how I can start to navigate that instead of that, you know, being my navigator, you know, I'm just all my negative emotions sort of navigating me through life, you know. So that's really what we're doing in meditation. And one of the healthiest places to start is trying to like build this habit, even though we don't feel it in the beginning, but building a self-confidence.
Oh, you muted yourself on Zoom.
Sorry. Yeah, that's okay. How wonderful it is. Oh, something. So we're getting this vibrating, so you really need to get it, you know. You have to get this vibrating through your mind. This is the meditation for this week. How wonderful it is, you know. You'll remember it now because it's just, yeah, it's all the way through. It's like mantra. Lama Zopa Rinpoche used to have us hold a mala, mala. And actually like this, think about something positive about yourself, how wonderful it is. I have some patience in certain situations. And how wonderful, you know, thinking about different things, parts of yourself that are, you know, are good. Is it patience? Just coming to the class? Having a wish to meditate? Having some familiarity with kindness, you know, when you're kind. Remember a time when you were kind, how wonderful that was. Just do this for a few minutes. Meditate on some good qualities about yourself and say how wonderful it is. How fortunate I am. Now in that space, so for the next 10 minutes, we're just going to stay in the space of meditation. Using the breath, bring your awareness to the breathing. Again, at the tip of the nostrils, at the level of the abdomen. For the next few minutes, just being again with the breath there, but using the counting technique, you know, so it's a bit easier. We saw in the handouts, those who use them. Each inhalation and exhalation is 1, and we count up to 10. So we go in, breathe in and out, that's 1, breathe in and out, that's 2, and we go all the way up to 10. And so let's do this, you know, 3 times. Just using thoughts, because this meditation is not about getting rid of thoughts, it's simply being with the breath And when we go to one object, the thoughts naturally start to settle. So the thoughts are like in the background, but the foreground is being with the breath. And so we do 1 to 10 counting, and we do this for 3 times. So now holding the breath as still as object, let's ride on the breath as thought, this mantra or vibration. As we inhale, may I be happy. And allow that thought just to pervade your being as you inhale. Imagining the breath goes all the way through the body, just fills you up with that thought, wishing yourself to be happy. So just imagine that when you inhale. And as we exhale, letting go of anything that's preventing that feeling of happiness, blocking that sense of happiness in your mind. Just allow that to leave you in the exhalation. So we inhale, may I be happy. And exhaling that which is unsettling in you right now, blocking that potential for happiness. So let's just do this for a few minutes. So to finish the class today, what we usually do is just taking a moment, first of all, to think about what you can take away from the class. Usually in an hour and a half, we can't take away everything, but is there something that resonated with you today that you can hold with you, piece of wisdom, an experience in your meditation, something that popped up that you thought, okay, that's helpful to me. I can carry that with me, take it in my pocket, carry out the teachings, hold it in my awareness for the rest of the week. Something that's going to inform or activate my meditation practice. And then we also have this tradition in this in Tibetan style meditation is to dedicate the positive energy of our meditation. So dedicating it for the continuation of our spiritual practice, our spiritual development, to develop our mind in these two wings, these two potentials. As Lama Yeshe said in that slide, the mind has infinite potential. So potential for happiness. May I be happy. May I develop, may I in all beings develop these wings of wisdom that are latent in our mind. We have the seeds for, they simply need to be nurtured through meditation, listening to teachings, reflecting. May I nurture the wing of wisdom in my heart and mind. And may I in all beings nurture the wisdom of compassion, loving kindness, goodness, kind-heartedness towards myself and others. So dedication is a bit like sealing the energy. It holds it in our consciousness so that it ripens. Whatever energy we've created in this class ripens in that way, towards my future development in my mind and wisdom and compassion. And for others, holding others as well, who also, just like me, need these qualities of wisdom and compassion. May they also nurture and develop them. And again, finishing with rejoicing, how wonderful it is we did this class today. We're continuing with this topic on how to meditate, how to develop, deepen our meditation practice. Take that moment to rejoice. Even if we don't feel it, we just say it like a mantra. Okay. So say if we get off the cushion, we finish a class, we get off the cushion, any practice, feeling happy, rejoicing, then it's easier to go back, yeah? You're saying, then you feel like, oh, I want to go back and do that, But if you get off saying, oh, that was too much, I'm too tired, I've got to sort this, it doesn't create the energy wanting to go back to that space, Because also, if you want to develop that space at home, you want to develop your meditation place, it needs to be a safe place, a nice place, a happy place, So even though it's there's stuff that comes up in that place, generally you're happy to go there, to that meditation seat, cushion, that class, whatever it is, wherever you find your place for practice. And especially your inner place for practice. It needs to be a joyful place. So it takes time. It doesn't happen easily. But just this mantra of how wonderful it is, how amazing it is, even though you don't feel it, but just starting it and then slowly one starts to a little bit feel that, the joy starts to come. Make sense? Good. We should have that in schools, for kids, really. Especially when you're a teacher, yeah? Yeah. Rejoicing in some of the good things. And yeah, it's a big practice. Thank you so much for those of you joining online. Nice to see you again. And what I'll do is I'll send a couple of meditations. So there were other meditations I wanted to do that today, but I'll send them to you. Oh yeah, next week you have the class, the festival, Debbie. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, so I hope that goes well. But I will send a couple of recorded meditations, maybe about 15-20 minutes in the next couple of days. So we're sort of covering some of the other materials as well on the mind like the sky and how to develop mindfulness a little bit in our meditation practice. We'll go through that next week as well, this kind of muscle and mindfulness that we need as part of this. We need that in every type of meditation, you know, this quality mindfulness. So we'll go through that a bit more next week, and I'll send a couple of meditations on it. Great. Thank you so much. Enjoy your week. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Irene. Thank you. Thank you, Robbie. Mary, Carolyn, Vicky, and Josh was there somewhere, I think, as well. Maybe he's off now. Any other questions for those of you online that we didn't fit in? Mary?
I have an issue next week. I have to go to a memorial.
I just got arthritis in my hips, so I'm trying to figure.
Okay, so we won't see you next week, but maybe the week after.
Well, I'll try to come next week, but I'm gonna have to leave early.